You guys hear me? Yes? Are we ready to go? Can you see my slides? There we go. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name's Vern Keenan. I'm here calling from Oakland, California. It's dawn here, and I just wanted to start out by thanking everybody for the great sessions that we've had so far today, and to thank Robin and the whole Test Zeus crew for putting this together, and to do it in the spirit of a community event where we all get to share, we all get to be ourselves and show ourselves. I was Before I get going, I just wanted to share how much I appreciated the earlier talks that came up before me. I think this whole idea of motivation, why should I move forward? Well, it's kind of scary, and you got to move forward, right? It's like I remember when I started getting crazy on AI. It was like 2 3 years ago, and I'm a content producer. I produce content, and I do blogs and essays and white papers and things like that. And I realized that if I didn't get on this AI train, I was just going to get run over by every other content provider that is doing it. And I guess almost everybody in a white collar or a thinking kind of job nowadays has got the same idea. And that's why you're here today. So again, just let me thank you very much for coming and for opening your minds and for listening. And I just wanted to maybe do before I get going, I just wanted to just kind of share with you how I have adapted to this stuff. And I'm a coder by heart. I've been a Salesforce developer a long time. I've also been going into JavaScript quite a bit myself. And testing has really revolutionized how I do my coding work nowadays. And I think this is great news for the testing community. I'm going to talk more about it, but it you can get in there and manifest control over these testing regimens and be able to contribute to your your company, your organization, your ability to corral these products and to tame them the way that you want them to use and to make yourself go faster. So I've been doing a lot of vibe coding lately. I've been doing a lot of JavaScript coding, and I have discovered how invaluable both unit tests and end-to-end tests have become in this age. I think the what I've been doing quite a bit is spending a lot of time on the specifications that go into these products, where I write down in my own words what I want the product that I'm building to do. Then I usually use AI to help me flesh that out, to put in more details. But then I'm always reviewing what the spec I'm using to generate the code is doing. And sometimes I wind up with like a 4 or 5 page document that is the spec for either the entire product that I'm trying to work on, or maybe like a sprint that I'm trying to accomplish in a brownfield project, something that's already existing and I want to update it and do something with it. I still write down everything I want the thing to do and how I want it to be tested, as a matter of fact, in this spec. So with these specs, I've been able to generate a lot of in JavaScript, a lot of just tests and a lot of Playwright end-to-end tests to do that. And I found this to be one of the great things that helps all of us potentially become much more productive with vibe coding or generative AI coding as a software engineer, and then moving into the test, that The good news for testers, I think, nowadays is that testing is more important than ever, because when you have all this generated code, you need to be able to create the tests that follow your specifications and determine exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So, on to my pitch here. I think, many of us got our start through entry level job, a junior admin role, a help desk position, an associate, gig at a startup company. But things are changing nowadays. When that junior admin leaves, the position doesn't get backfilled. When a coordinator retires, AI absorbs the slack. And the career ladder that trained every one of us is dissolving at the bottom. And what's happening is that the traditional signals we watch for aren't triggering. What do I mean by that? Well, it's you're not, I don't predict that there's going to be mass layoffs due to AI. People are not going to look at their current workforce and say, "Oh, they can do that with AI, and I'm just going to lay all of them off." Well, maybe if you're Jack Dorsey at Block and you say something like that, people might believe you, but other people might say, "Well, Jack Dorsey's been a terrible manager all this time, and he's just laying off half the people at Block because he didn't know how to hire them in the first place." So there's this AI. I think most of the mass layoffs attributed to AI is what I would attribute to AI washing. People trying to get cred or some sort of boost in their stature by saying that AI changed everything for them when in fact they're just using it as kind of like a scapegoat. But we know that this has been happening because there are important scholars out there who have been measuring this stuff. And this is where there was a canary in the coal mine article, is what it was called, came out of Stanford, and they tracked a direct impact of 13% employment decline in AI impacted jobs for young people. And this is definitely happening. There's nothing that we can do to stop it, but there is, we can measure it and we can understand it. We also know that in Anthropic is also managing the same thing. So in January 26, Anthropic opened the hood on their own system and showed which tasks AI absorbs. So we found that it's de-skilling across the entry level classes. The interesting work that juniors cut their teeth on, leaving behind routine, is disappearing. And enterprise AI usage for junior and support admin roles is spiking. So what's happening again is that people are just being slowly replaced as they attrition through a network or through a company, and they're just not being replaced. Sometimes they're being replaced with API calls. That's the scary part. Now, Gartner even sees this now, and they are telling their customers that this is the new reality, that instead of this old model of juniors having a bunch of ladders to crawl up, today that junior class is shrinking, and it's some people aren't paying any attention to it. And I think that if you let the quiet erosion take out your career ladders and your entry points for new employees, it's not going to be too long until all of those senior people and the mid-level people in this chart are going to retire and not be available. And where's your workforce going to come from? So I think this is something that we have to understand. But there's still a lot of negative data out there. And in the United States, if you look at the jobs reports for the last 6 months, it's definitely not pretty. We are in a low fire, low hire economy right now. Again, they're not firing, they're just waiting for people to quit. And where are the jobs growing? When you hear about job growth in the United States, it's usually about non AI related tasks, healthcare, social assistance, construction, other types of labor. And if you look at the numbers in business and professional services, IT, they're all going down. There's all decrease in employment there. So, and here's another negative. I hate to keep piling them in, but it's true. The In the past, we've had disruptions before. We've had general purpose technologies such as the steam engine, the industrial revolution, the computer, other things, and these have created huge disruptions and temporary, uh, offsets of employment. But they don't the thing that concerns us right now is the speed of all of this, how quickly everything is moving, that we're concerned that the AI jobs that may be being created, and I'm going to talk about those in a second, may not be created fast enough to substitute for the jobs that may be lost or for the people who can't get hired in the first place. And I've done some napkin calc kind of back of the napkin type calculations on this, and I'm quite concerned. I think there a lot of jobs will be created because of AI, but there are, I think, a lot of companies may eventually get blindsided by AI competitors, and that may be where another wave of layoffs could come after the quiet erosion. So I think the again, the thing I want to emphasize here is the apprentice paradox. So if you're a leader in your company, don't be ruthless about thinking about how to just reduce everything. Think about finding those young people who are AI pilled, who are love AI and want to become part of your organization, and use those skills to help transform your organization. You have to have a program that lets you have humans and AI together deliberately. And I think that is just hand in hand with software development. Actually, when you keep talking to these things as they go, and you have to have deliberate programs to keep up your university hiring, to keep up the bringing young people into your company, and some sort of attractive path, or we're just going to lose them all. So again, and I'm preempting my own slide here, but this is where we got to go. We have to make the right choices for how leaders do growth in their own companies. So Stanford's data is unambiguous. Employment declined where AI automates, but grew where it augments. So that means every AI deployment decision is a workforce decision. When you deploy an AI agent that handles inquiries end to end, you're automating. When you deploy a copilot that drafts responses for humans to review, you're augmenting. Same technology, opposite workforce outcomes. So the design decision is not the technology itself, but what determines whether you're going to contribute to the erosion or build a bridge. So for Salesforce professionals, I think testing and QA, the basic aspects of it is definitely in the erosion zone. So this is something that you need to think about it, and you need to think about how to go to the next level of QA. And I think Rob had a lot of great advice here. There are advanced techniques that many of us have not engaged in, such as adversarial or other types of fuzz testing or other types of advanced testing techniques that are now within your grasp because of AI. Also, this thing about end-to-end testing. I think it's always been hard to do the Selenium or the now Playwright tests to run your application from end to end, where you're actually simulating the user input thoroughly. And this, thankfully, is now an area of that can be done quite easily through Playwright testing and through you having an interactive experience working with the testing product to create those end-to-end tests. And this is very helpful for regression testing and for other testing. The other thing that is important about generative AI is that the whole software development lifecycle has changed. There's more on the front end and there's a lot more on the back end. Let me explain that. So when you're going through the loops of create, test, fix, deploy, all of that, you're doing a lot of testing, you're doing a lot of QA, but there's a whole new long tail that once you have created your application and it's a generative AI application, it's doing random or non-deterministic activities all the time. So it's like interacting in a chat situation, throwing off chat logs and other types of traces that are generated during those applications. Well, now there's a whole new process of observability where you take that information and you assess it and for accuracy and how well the agent is actually moving. Then, if you find a problem either in the knowledge base that your agent is going from, or maybe you have found a problem in the logic of your prompts or the agent that you're actually throwing out there, now you have the ability to observe those errors and potentially correct them with new knowledge that you can inject into your system. So testing is actually kind of moved from what I see as a almost a necessary evil, how some people think of it, but now it's actually a source of differentiation for your company. You can create a moat by paying attention to all of the observability and all of the tacit knowledge that you're kind of collecting through correcting errors in your chatbots. So this whole idea of having business people actually involved in observability is now a new thing, where if you as a tester can present new knowledge to your company, I think that is really a very, very interesting goal for testing nowadays. I think the admin roles being rebundled. I think we're definitely seeing tools like Sierra and Sierra and other types of tools that are uh, actually taking specifications and doing chatbots with that. I just wanted to kind of move on to some general topics here in the few minutes I have left, and to kind of understand. I wanted to go through what I call the three laws of virtual employee economics with you to try to give you a little bit of maybe theoretical understanding about what's happening. So the first law is what I call infinite scale. And by this, I mean that agents, once you build an agent, you can use it to scale to many agents. So this is where this whole idea that CEOs got with that I can stop hiring is just from this idea that eventually you'll be able to have an agent that can replace people and you basically won't have to pay this person much. So that completely changes the dynamics of running a business. The problem is that this virtual employee that I've envisioned here, the agent that we're all talking about, doesn't really exist yet. So all of this AI washing and CEOs laying off people for AI, in my view, is jumping the gun. they don't really have the technology that they can use to fire people. Again, that's why when people say that they're firing thousands or hundreds of people because of I still tend to discount that almost completely. It's got to be proven to me that they are actually, hiring, using AI to replace all those people. The next thing is cognitive commoditization. And this is the thing that gets us all scared. So it's the idea that AI, if you're like a freshly minted MBA from a mid-tier university, and then you're kind of screwed because the AI already knows everything that you know that you were trained on. All that book knowledge is now readily available to people through AI uh, chatbots. So this whole idea of cognitive commoditization is very depressing until the next slide, when I'll show you how you can have some hope with that. And here's the exponential learning law that I was mentioning earlier. And I really think that this is the source of excitement for people in the testing community now, is that you move on to having your chatbots generate, exhaust or output, and that's actually the gold that you can sift through and find little nuggets of knowledge and information that you can feed back into your AI to give your company a more competitive advantage. Now, this is what I think is how the future is going to work out here. This is what I call the new intelligence gradient. And this is kind of like an architecture of how people will use AI. And the reason why I drew it this way with the upside down triangle was to indicate roughly how many people I think are employed in each one of these sectors. So you may have heard recently, Sam Altman says that AI is going to be like a utility. You're going to pay for it, like water or electricity. Well, I wholeheartedly agree. I think the frontier models are going to be commoditized. They're going to be somewhat interchangeable, and they're going to be sold kind of like how telecom works. You have the big giant carriers, and they have, all their distribution through fiber. These guys are generating the photons that are being used for communication. So the foundation models are going to be generating the tokens we use for intelligence. The next step up in this ecosystem are the orchestration platforms. And Salesforce fits into this area here. So what they're doing is that they are taking AI and reselling it to Salesforce customers to help them use CRM in their AI. Now, as you go up this chart, there's more value. And I just want to show like you have this cognitive commoditization on the left and the value going up, on the right, and the value going up on the left. So what that means is that you can use cognitive commoditization to deliver new services that you could not have delivered before previously. So for example, I, as a software developer, really didn't know Playwright very well, but I was able to use cognitive commoditization about Playwright inside of Claude to teach me how to use it, to help me how to use it. So I am delivering more value because I'm taking advantage of cognitive commoditization. And going up to the very top level of this app, I would say that this is the opportunity that most of us have in front of us now, is that there will be one thing is intelligence becomes cheaper, it's going to be able to be used more and more businesses. Right now, it's being restricted to the top of the funnel, where you have big businesses working on it. But as it becomes cheaper and more widespread, it's going to become mid-sized, and eventually small businesses will be able to take advantage of that. And all of these people need what I call forward deployed entrepreneurs who are AI enabled to go in and help these people use AI in their businesses. Or in the case of this community, I could easily see new businesses being formed, maybe like Test Zeus, or even consultancies that use products like Test Zeus, that are so AI pilled, AI enabled that you're able to compete even with the traditional GSIs, with the Accentures and the Infosys of the world, that you, as a small AI enabled team, can make a difference, that you can show off those skills, use cognitive commoditization to improve your life. So I think that concludes my prepared remarks here. And I do have a few minutes for questions, or if we would like to bring Tristan back on, I think he might have joined us. But if anybody wants to shout out a question in the chat, or if one of the moderators can pull one up for me, I would be happy to take that on. Token is the future Bitcoin. Well, Sam Altman wants to pay his employees in tokens. I don't know how much. I think they would expect to get those for free. What specific skills or mindsets do you think will differentiate early career professionals in an AI-driven workspace? It really is management. It's I think you're going to have to think about how to be a manager a lot earlier in your career. I think this was mentioned earlier in the talk, that the way that I feel like I'm working with these agents is like as a tech lead, as somebody who I think if you need to understand things like Git branching, Git workflows, ways to have your agents work in parallel. That's the new thing. I think that you definitely have to feel like you're a manager, that you are treating these agents as junior employees, and you're giving them instructions, and you're training them, you're helping them to go forward. So I think that is the key differentiation. It's not so much the skills anymore. It's I studied Newth and C and all of that stuff. I did punch tape out of a PDP-8 back in my career. People don't need those skills anymore. It's like that's it. Are we out of time? I think we're out of time. So unless there's any more questions, I'm just going to say how eternally grateful. Oh, what specific skill? No, we did that one. So we're good. Oh, someone early in my career, what specific skill should? Oh, that's again management. I think it's. I think you need to understand how to talk to people, and you need to understand, how to take advantage of stuff. With increasing dependencies on AI, will it decrease logical thinking capacity of humans in the future? For some of us, I'm sure. It's what? How many of us have seen that movie? Where everybody gets dumber in the future. Maybe that might happen. For me, that's not happening to me, because I think the thing. Again, I'm a manager. I can take advantage of these things. It kind of expands it for me. It allows my mind to think in other areas that I haven't thought about previously. So I think that's up to you, whether you're going to let your brain go into AI rot, or you're going to let it be your greatest educator ever. Idiocracy is that movie. So yeah, let's take a look at that so you know what not to do. Okay, everybody. I think what we got a panel coming up.
Yeah, hello, sir. That was a lovely session from you. We really enjoyed the knowledge which you shared with us. I think it's very relevant for all of us in our early careers and, learning towards management skills and stuff. It's really adds value. So, thank you so much, sir, for a lovely session. I hope this will add value to all of us. Uh, okay, now I think we'll both go off stage and we'll be ready for the upcoming panel we have with us. So, Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye bye. Okay, guys, let's be ready for the panel now. Are we all excited for our upcoming line of speakers? I need to see a lot of yeses in the chat box now. I'm so glad, it's literally late for the Indian audience, but I see more than a 800 to more than a 800 folks in the session live, and it's really, I'm so full today. My heart is really full seeing such love for the community. So, yeah, I won't take much time now. Off to the panel session now. See you all there.